a movie about the statistical analysis and being non-romantic and being, what we say, unbiased and cold in your decisions is a very romantic baseball movie in the end.
Baseball itself is one of the best microcosms of all of life. Almost every lesson you need to learn in life, baseball has an example for it. And this film in particular is basically just a highlight reel of all of the best lessons you need to learn in life.
What raises for me is the question of, if God was launching a scouting meeting on us, what is his gets on base?
In a world where entertainment is viewed as mindless diversion, only good for momentary distraction, you are about to enter a new world, and you will never view entertainment in the same way again. This is Popcorn Theology.
Welcome, movie lovers and theology nerds, to Popcorn Theology, where we examine films for where they align with the greatest story and our greatest storyteller, discussing what to receive, reject, and redeem for common ground, fruitful conversation, and mindful movie consumption. I'm Eric.
And I'm Miles, and we are looking at Moneyball, one of Eric's beloved movies.
Yes.
Directed by Bennett Miller, written by Aaron Sorkin. I didn't know that. And starring Brad Pitt, Jonah Hill, Robin Wright, Philip Seymour Hoffman, and Chris Pratt. This movie was stacked.
A young Chris Pratt that, because of how young he was in it, didn't make top billing. Robin Wright got topper billing than him, and she was barely in this film.
3 scenes, I think. It's like 2 scenes and a phone call.
Yeah, pretty much. And this was written by 2 other people. One, I think, from the actual book that this is kind of based off of as well. And obviously this is based off a real life event as well. But I wanted to say thank you to the patron saints, though, because this was the patron saint pick for summer, for the month, for the summer pick. And baseball is all about summer. I love it. I was doing some stats because I love talking with Rory when we were talking about when we covered The Natural together, and we were talking about baseball. Is baseball, when you take all the games in aggregate, is the number one sport when it comes to attendance. 70 million people across the entire 160 game season come out to watch the greatest sport that God ever decided to create. And so, yeah, it's wonderful. So we're not talking exactly about baseball, though. We're talking about the movie Moneyball. And Moneyball is based upon the true story of Oakland Athletics manager Billy Beane, who, after losing his best players to wealthier teams, adopts a controversial, data-driven approach to building a competitive baseball team on one of the smallest payrolls in the league. Challenging decades of baseball tradition, Beane and his young analyst, Peter Brand, who, I had to look it up, not a real person. He's just an amalgamation of a couple other, a couple real-life people, but yeah, not a real person. I was kind of disappointed, but I was like,
he's my favorite character in the movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Pure fiction. But with his young protege, Peter Brand searched for overlooked players whose true value has been ignored by conventional scouting. This culminates in one of the greatest streaks in baseball history, and did the impossible by fundamentally changing the game forever. And so with that, let's go ahead and go into our spoiler thoughts. And this is over a 10-year-old movie, so I guess we still have to do a spoiler-free section.
Yeah, I guess.
So, Miles, but from a popcorn rating standpoint, stale, fresh, buttered, and salted, what did you go with, brother?
Well, it's really interesting for me because this is the first time I've actually watched this movie, but because of Popcorn Theology, I get fed these scenes for movies, and I probably watched a third of this movie just on YouTube. Yeah. It pops up, and I rewatch them. You know, all those great scenes. And so for, actually watching this for the first time, it wasn't as good as I thought it would be, but it's still buttered and salted. It just wasn't quite, I thought that the scenes would be tied together a little bit more. I was hoping for, but it's just because it was ruined for me. But the thing is, great performance. And then movies that are about visionaries and iconoclasts like clever people who do something first, bravely, differently than everybody, are so much fun. It feels kind of like Ford versus Ferrari.
Oh yeah.
You know, just that, like, the kind of grit, and then somebody who is stuck to a philosophy. It's great. And so, yeah, my wife sat down and watched it, and she liked it. She liked it fine. You know, she's like, I like movies about smart and clever people.
Yes. And yeah, I guess. Oh wait, sorry. Do you have another point on
guess
this? Yeah.
I guess it scratches. She likes like Sherlock Holmes type characters, like House, and it's like it's got a little bit of that feel of somebody who doesn't see things the way other people do. And that is just such a fun thing to explore. Now I cede the floor to the Moneyball lover, Eric. What did you think?
Yeah, so I absolutely love Moneyball. I love baseball. As those watching the podcast can see, I'm wearing a Cal Ripken authentic jersey from the 90s. It doesn't have a patch on this one. The patch is on the other side. From the 90s. Technically, it actually was my wife's jersey. I did not grow up as an O's fan. I became a O's appreciator later in life. Fredericksburg Nationals ball cap, which is a AAA team here locally. We go out and watch the games. My son absolutely loves it. Drinking some local bourbon from a in a Orioles glass. So I am a baseball appreciator, and I absolutely love it. This movie, 100% butter and salted for me. It's one of my favorite films. I heard a story today. It was actually being recounted by Edward Norton that at the time, the movie Fight Club bombed at the box office, and it actually got booed at one of the film festivals. And Brad Pitt was in the back of the room of when it got booed, and he turned to Edward Norton and said, I think this is the best film that I'll ever be in. I personally think this is the best film that he was ever in. I love Fight Club, but I love this movie so much more. Best thing about this film is it's all about baseball, but the side of baseball that no one ever thinks about. It's the side which it's what keeps the whole operation running. It's what keeps everything running. You see how much he's on the phone, the relationships he has with all the general managers. It's what keeps the whole thing moving. It's the side that gets all of the blame, but then none of the glory. And you see that a lot. Again, the writing on this film, it's a Sorkin film. So, right, it is tight. It's very tight. It's what you expect from Aaron Sorkin. No wasted dialogue, and the timing on all of it is perfect. I don't think there was a single bad performance in this. Maybe not great performances, blowing the moon, but I don't think there's a bad performance, and everyone just nailed their dialogue. And again, it's like very quotable. I mean,
and
at the end of the day,
you don't have to like baseball to like the movie, even though it's very
helps.
deep in its view. Yeah.
At the end of the day, though, it's like, how can you not be romantic about baseball? I mean, it's just right
man,
there.
we're already getting exposed. But there's that deal: is that a movie about the statistical analysis and being non-romantic and being what we say, unbiased and cold in your decisions, is a very romantic baseball movie in the end.
Yeah,
and they knew it. They were self-conscious about how you would feel. Even just that electric guitar riff feels a bit 80s rather than 2000s, I think it's great.
Very cool. So I already gushed about the popcorn side of it. So talking about the theology side, the themes, are we looking at diluted, carbonated, my cup runneth over? So basically, are you wrong? Are you really wrong, or right? Is kind of the way that.
Cool. So I already know my cup runneth over. But look, there's a Bible in one scene. There's one mention of prayer, and it's all about baseball and the human experience. So it is a deep movie. It's pregnant with ideas that you can redeem if you think of from the realm of faith. But I'm saying just carbonated.
Oof,
I think love has blinded you.
What's love supposed to do?
but if I was going to couch this in a popcorn theology kind of tagline, is Moneyball bucking conventional wisdom to embrace newfound faith.
Mm.
It's like that repentance of new wineskins, all of those things that just, if you have eyes to see and ears to hear, you'll see that kind of stuff all over this movie. And I think it will actually help you embrace the path of repentance and discipleship if you're viewing it from a popcorn theology lens. But still, I think you're a little nuts for it. Well, I'm just going to spoil it. Eric, you're my cup runneth over on this one. Why do you say that?
So baseball itself is one of the best microcosms of all of life. Almost every lesson you need to learn in life, baseball has an example for it. And this film in particular is basically just a highlight reel of all of the best lessons you need to learn in life. I mean, this is the type of film that you just can go literally like scene by scene or sequence by sequence and just be like, all right, stop, pause. All right, let's go ahead and talk about this one for the next 10 minutes. How does it relate to the Christian life? How does it relate to being a dad? How does it relate to this? All right, press play. All right, pause again. How does it? It's like it's just over and over and over again.
I mean, I guess there's another baseball movie. Did we cover Sandlot together? Was it you and me?
Well, I know we've covered Sandlot, but I think I was on that one as well. Yeah.
That
I
one
was. Yeah.
Is the idea of everybody's like Smalls, Benny the Jet is a bit like Jesus and the disciples and being brought into a new way of life. There's some good baseball movies. What are some of your other favorite baseball movies?
So The Natural is fun. We covered that. This is a great film. I don't watch. This is the other thing is like I don't watch too many like baseball specific movies. They used to be a lot more popular. But football and this horrid sport of soccer, I mean has started to take over. Crowd out the airwaves. But yeah, The Natural is a great flick. Sandlot obviously is the all-time classic. Like that is the classic one. And then Moneyball is of those is definitely my absolute favorite with it.
What's funny is watching this movie for me. This took place in 2002, and I had actually been in the Coliseum myself as a kid because in California, my family Raiders fans. That was the last year that Raiders went to the Super Bowl. Was that 2002 season?
I remember. So my family at the time was really watching baseball a lot during this era. So some of it's a little bit like nostalgic, looking back and stuff like that. I loved watching the opening even though you're supposed to be rooting for the A's. I loved watching the opening sequence and seeing Mariano Rivera, number 42, shutting out the A's. Unfortunately, the Yankees did not go on to win the World Series that year, or in 2002 or in 2003. And then lost heartbreakingly to the stupid Red Sox, which I will not talk about anymore.
Well, we are going to bring up the Red Sox.
We will bring up the Red Sox
a few times in this episode.
Yes, exactly.
After we drop some
he
spoilers.
Preached the gospel and the devil then picked it up and ran with it. Yeah. But with that, we'll go ahead and start talk about our ads and promos. It's like we want to encourage everyone, like and share this episode with your friends. Just broaden that conversation. We'd love for this to get out to more and more people. We're growing, which is great. But you can help us on that mission. You can help us on the mission where we bring actual good media literacy to the conversations. Yeah, we take it from a Christian worldview and Christian perspective, but it's good analysis. And so help out with that and get some more voices in the space. Subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on all the podcast catchers. We need more reviews on the podcast. That's really one of the biggest ways how sponsors find people nowadays is, well, how many reviews do they have? Because they can't see how many they can't see how many views, but they can't see how many reviews. So give us
so
reviews.
You could say, and your reviews, you could be like, good face,
You can talk about, as long as you leave a 5-star review, I don't care what you say.
Yeah. Miles and Eric, beautiful wives, shows a lot of confidence in their podcast ability.
Yeah, the type of guys where certain parts of their anatomy walk into the room about 2 minutes before they do. Yeah. Yeah. You say any of that stuff. We don't care.
Your years of wisdom. Not just numbers on a sheet, but your gut about how you feel about us scouting out this podcast and finding this gem. It's going to take us to the pennant.
And you can support us financially on Patreon. For a few dollars a month, you can become a patron saint. You get to vote on future episodes. Like this one. You guys picked this one, so thank you for that. You get some additional special perks as well. But we're going a little long in the tooth on this section, so we'll go ahead and just drop our ads, and we'll get right back into Moneyball.
Up in the sky, look! It's a bird! It's a plane!
Cinemagog, The Marvelous Era. James Harleman here, the cinema guy, announcing the sequel to my first book on film and faith. Let's face it, entertainment has changed dramatically since the first book published in 2012, and comic book characters and franchises are everywhere. So I decided to set my sights on superheroes and examine the evolution of Hollywood in this follow-up to the first Cinemagog book. For example, what does Loki tell us about culture's view of God? Why does the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the Infinity Saga continually align with biblical themes? In the Marvelous Era, I review each film and show not only how the individual movies express gospel parallels, but each phase essentially reveals a multi-point sermon. I also explore DC, Star Wars, the Monsterverse, and more. Without compromising scriptural truth, we can sift these stories and discover how we might reject, receive, and redeem ideas for personal reflection and Christian conversation. Also, has Hollywood's messaging gotten worse? The book explores ways these marvelous mythologies correspond with conversion, Christian living, church history, and Reformation, but I do also highlight what has been the entertainment industry's darker, indoctrinating decade, as well as toxic fandom and the dangers of immersion in pop culture that just might drown us spiritually if we're not careful. So suit up, assemble, and join me on a journey to the Infinity Saga and beyond. Cinemagog, The Marvel Us Era. Now available on Amazon.com in paperback, hardcover, and Kindle editions.
Hey, this is David, and if you're listening to Popcorn Theology, it's probably because you're interested in theology or movies, or best of all, both. And that means that you're our kind of people, sharing common interests with our listeners and viewers as well. So why not partner with us and advertise your business or ministry right here on Popcorn Theology? We're looking for great, like-minded sponsors and offer reasonable rates with a variety of formats to get your message out. Remember, our fans aren't mindless consumers, so they'll give you thoughtful consideration. That's a big part of what we're all about here. So, for more information on advertising with us, contact feedback@popcorntheology.com.
And we're back, dropping the spoiler warning as we dig deeper into Moneyball. And there it is, the popcorn. So, Miles, you thought it was buttered. Why is that? What were some of the things you got out of it?
Well, I think at first glance, it's the performances are just great. You feel like you're in the rooms. Now, I heard that the scouts in the scouts room were the guys they brought in for consulting, and then they just said, why don't we just get these guys? That's why they look so real. Those guys.
I was going to say, those
scouts.
don't look like actors. Yeah.
It was great. And then the actors didn't even really look like actors. Like Philip Seymour Hoffman, again, completely disappears into his role. And he's he's at least an antagonist, kind of a villain in some ways in this movie. But he was exactly what a coach on a 1-year contract struggling with the change in a system like this would behave. He served the role perfectly. You know, in my opinion, I thought Brad was good, but I thought Jonah Hill was great in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Especially his speech, the first speech, talking about, I think it's a good thing that you lost your expensive players. It opens up all kinds of possibilities.
Yeah.
The people in baseball overlook players for all kinds of biases. And just that speech is so good. And considering that before that, the last time I had seen Jonah Hill, in the timeline of release was super bad.
Yes.
It's just great and very watchable. And especially he gets on base.
Yeah.
Do I care? You do not. It's just a fun movie. The script is good. The performances are good. It's inspiring. The music is, the subtle changes in music, well, sometimes not so subtle, are touching.
Mm-hmm.
How can you not be romantic about Moneyball?
Yeah. Yeah, so obviously I went with butter and salted. This is one of those films that literally, I said it already, you can go scene by scene, you can talk and just talk about it. The amount of lessons and wisdoms that's from it is it's fantastic. Favorite scene, honestly, and I'll be talking about this in a couple of minutes, is when he's with the scouting team and trying to get them to understand what the problem actually is. And at this point, he doesn't have the solution yet. He's just trying to get them to understand the situation that they're in. They're trying to replace Jason Giambi, and he's telling them, we don't have the budget for that. We can't do that.
I felt bad for one of the scouts because one of the guys, he's going, what's the problem? What's the problem? One of the scouts says, we're looking at 120 RBIs. And
Yeah.
I was like, that guy was close to the solution that they
closer.
actually.
He was closer. Yeah.
Give him a bit of a break. He was thinking about it.
Yeah. And it's like, and you can tell there's this, he's trying to turn the ship around. Like the entire world of baseball is against him and is going against him. He's just trying to change the minds, change the ideas of these entrenched ideas, just trying to get them to look at things differently. And you can sense there's this desperation in Billy. Like his daughter sees it. He's got this desperate attitude, and it's perfectly encapsulated later on the film. It says, "I hate losing more than I want to win," and there's a difference. And as someone who's a high achiever, like I get that. I understand that. I feel that in my bones. It's like I may not win, but I'm definitely not going to lose. And he knows that if something doesn't change, he's going to be in the same spot at the end of the season. Matter of fact, his prediction at the beginning is he's going to be in a worse spot because he sits down with I think it's the owner or forget whoever it is, his boss. He sits down with them and they're like, "Hey, you made it all the way there. It was a great season. Yeah, great." And he's like, "Yeah, made it all the way. Yeah, made it all the way. Next year's going to be worse." And it's like, or next year's not going to be better, I think is what he said. And he basically just laid it out. It's like, I need more money. Like, we need more money to be able to compete. We lost our 3 best players and 3 good players that went to big teams.
And now they're more expensive than they were.
Exactly.
We couldn't even keep them because we're being outpaced.
Yep.
And
so not only did this players that they had built leave because they couldn't afford them anymore, they couldn't even afford equivalent players or what would have been equivalent players at that current salary because they're just not keeping pace. And
here's what's hitting me. It's borderline, like it's borderline theology, but what this movie taps into is the frustration that life is not fair.
Mm-hmm.
And that sucks you in. Just the statistics at the beginning, and he is crushed under that rock, and instead of despair, he goes hunting for.
Yep. Well, and that's the thing. He gets it, and one of the lines in it is like, "If you lose the last game, nobody gives a crap." And it's so true. It's so true. I mean, I was talking about this. For those that follow baseball and know baseball and stuff like that, there's a player out there named Aaron Judge, one of the greatest ever that will play. I mean, his stats year after year are phenomenal. He's been MVP 3 times, like incredible player. But there's just if he doesn't win a World Series, there's always going to be a little asterisk next to his name.
Yeah.
It's always going to be a little asterisk. I mean, even that jersey I'm wearing, Cal Ripken, they did win a World Series early in his career, but that was always a thing with him. That it's like, yeah, he's a great player. He's the Iron Man. He can go for 2,000 some games without missing a single game. Like, yeah, awesome work ethic. We absolutely love him. Inspirational model, but he didn't win any World Series. So kind of who gives a crap, right? And that's what Billy Beane was trying to do. And it's kind of even one of those where talk about the enduring legacy of it. They did change baseball. Change baseball, but also it's kind of one of those where because they didn't win the World Series, who gives a crap? Yeah.
Even though they had the longest winning streak in history
at the time. Yeah. One of them. Yeah.
With a bunch of players that everybody discounted, having started out so poorly. Yeah, there's just a lot of those sports metaphors. You're talking about the nobody cares unless you win the last game. Yep. I remember my wrestling coach, because of the way wrestling is in brackets, he said there's really only 2 guys who are smiling at the end of the day. The guy who gets first and the guy who gets third. The second place guy is often frustrated because he almost got first.
Yes.
The third place guy is happy because he had to fight back from the consolation bracket and was on top of the losers.
Yeah. Yeah, second place is the first loser. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, so, and again, from popcorn still, but acting standpoint, everyone did a great job. Jonah Hill probably had the best performance of his lifetime in this film. And even there's honestly, they even made fun of it in the movie This Is the End, which is I adore that movie. It's hilarious. It's
Blasphemous.
incredibly
Hilarious.
blasphemous. Do not get your theology from that film for sure. But there's actually some really funny parts that I absolutely love that you could take it theologically with. Just how the atheistic worldview views Christianity. I think they actually got it spot on. But anyway, so even in This Is the End, he's playing himself and he starts to pray to God. Really hilarious prayer. But he starts with going, God, I'd like to talk to you right now. This is me, Jonah Hill from Moneyball.
Yeah. No, and he did a pretty good job. Well, and then from a Christian perspective, as we're bleeding into theology, a lot of thing about sports is that it brings up your sense of achievement, the way you think about yourself. What role does your success in business and sports play in your heart? And that'll come up a little bit in this movie. And there's so much good and mixture of bad and motives, even in this movie, as well as just talking about it, what it brings up. That, man, it's rich, even though the movie in many ways is so subdued, except for in the scene when they must have shot that chair across the room from an air cannon. That scene is great. I mean, I bet that there was no drop on that chair.
Yeah.
Came flinging out of his office.
You can tell it's incredibly frustrating to run a sports team. So that we can actually slide into our theology side and pour that soda and get that good old carbonation, caffeine, all of that with that. So I'll lead us off here with this.
Yeah, go for it.
Really one incredible theme to get out of this and kind of focus on through it. Again, personal opinion, like there's 1,000 themes to get out of this, so we're barely scratching the surface. But really simple one is, are you focused on the right things? Are you focused on the right things? The movie starts off with a quote from Mickey Mantle. It says, "It's unbelievable how much you don't know about a game you've been playing your whole life." And a book I just read called The Psychology of Money. Highly recommend it to everyone. But in it, he says, your knowledge of the universe is 0.0000001% of all the knowledge that we have in the universe. But that 1% makes up 80% of how you view the world. No. And it's just this huge disconnect. And so then when we see Billy Beane trying to think through the problems of his team and how to make his team better, he's starting getting pushback from all these people that are not wanting to believe that they don't know as much about the game as they think they do. They go, "You've got a lot of experience in this room, Billy." And Billy could have very well have been like, "Yeah, you're right. That's the problem, because you guys are thinking in the way that's going to get us to almost winning and then having all of our best players that we develop stolen to the bigger teams."
So you're telling me that there are people who have experience that have a difficult time when their sins are pointed out?
Yes.
Are you saying when their shortcomings and their lack of understanding of what's really important is pointed out, that people react perhaps violently?
And it's one of those where and this wasn't a quote. I saw a summation of like, hey, what's the key point from this movie? It says, or no, the key point behind the idea of Moneyball and statistics in general is, what does the evidence say actually leads to winning, and is the market properly valuing it? And that's really what he and his make-believe analyst, started. It's really, what I think his name was actually Bill James, is the guy who wrote the book. He wrote the book that a lot of people in baseball hated that he was trying to take the romanticism out of baseball. Is really what they were looking at. They thought he was trying to systemize it, and instead,
Maybe sanitize it. Yeah,
all of them. And that's the thing. He was trying to cut through the noise. That's what Bill James was doing. That's what Billy Bean eventually gets to the noise of like, what's the problem? What's the actual problem going on in this room? They're talking about, well, this guy, his girlfriend's a 6 at best. They're like, no, I no, he's got great confidence. His his manhood enters the room 2 minutes before he does. They're talking about all these confidence stuff, but Billy just be like, what can he hit? Or even them back and forth with each other. It's like, oh, he's got a beautiful swing. When he connects, it makes the thing. It's like, well, what makes you think he's going to be good in the majors? Like, if he can't hit in the minors, what makes you think it's going to be?
Yeah, if he's not good, why isn't he not good?
Exactly.
Or if he's good, why is he not good? I think
exactly. It's like, oh, give him 1,000 at bats, he'll be good. And Billy's just thinking, it's like, I don't have 2 seasons to get this kid 1,000 at bats. He's like, and that's where he starts asking, it's like, what's the problem? He starts going around. What's the problem? What's the problem? And the vulgar scene is when he goes around and he's just talking about it. And he goes, that his head coach is like, well, we need a head scout is like, well, we need to replace Giambi. And he says, can we replace Giambi? It's like, no. Can we replace anyone equivalent to him for the price? No. He said, then what the F are you talking about, man?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? And he leaves that room very frustrated. To do the I'm not a big Jesus juker, but to go the Jesus juke or the Christian route way is you really kind of left the room, thinking like, do not look on his appearance or the height of his stature, because I have rejected him. For the Lord sees not a man as man sees. Man looks on the outward appearance, but the Lord looks on the heart. And that's really what Billy was looking for, how do I get to the heart of the matter? How do I get rid of all this noise of, well, this kid is 6'5" and he's got a classic swing, all the stuff that they were talking about, in the flashback scenes, all the stuff they were talking about Billy. Billy knows scouts get it wrong. He knows firsthand scouts get it wrong. He knows that all the stuff
that's the big one. It's his personal stories. I was one of those. He's got a great face, this, and
he looks like he came right out of central, casting. Good, beautiful, perfect swing, But Billy's going, well, how do I find out what their heart is? How do I get to the heart? And that's when he has his encounter with the gospel of analytics, and it just changes how he views the entire game. It changes how he starts to build teams. And it's the great scene of when he sits down, with his, after he meets with, Jonah Hill for the first time, and he figures out the system, learns the system, says, I asked you to analyze 3 people. How many did you do? And he goes, I think what it was like, I did 45. I did 47.
Like, and it did 52 or something. I don't know why I lied there.
I did 53. Yeah, I don't know why I lied. I don't know why I lied just there. It just it's a great character. It's a great. It's a shame that is not a real person.
Joy and enthusiasm is a vulnerable. It's a vulnerable emotion. Like Pete was so excited to have somebody who could actually implement this system. Do it that he overdid it. Man, he's so good, Pete. And just, that speech. You're talking about focusing on the right things. When he's saying people are overlooked for a variety of biased reasons and perceived flaws, age, appearance, personality. Bill James' mathematics cuts straight through all that. That is the baseball's version, exactly what you said, 1 Samuel 16:7. Man looks at the outside, but the Lord looks at the heart.
Yeah. And so when he gets this encounter with the gospel of analytics, he gets the new marching orders, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, why do you like him? He gets on base. Why do you like him? He gets on base. Why do you like him? He gets on base. And it's just great. It's like, it's back to that fundamentals. There's the whole thing about Vince Lombardi in football, where apparently at the beginning of every season, he would pick up a football and go, gentlemen, this is a football. Just back to basics, going back to basics. Like, what wins ball games? Getting on base
and just the illustration of like, I don't care how you get on base. So people are saying, what, you want me to walk more? Because, frankly, you hit a baseball in the sweet spot.
Oh, yeah.
There's hardly anything more enjoyable than that. I'm not even a baseball fan, but that sound and that feeling is wonderful. Billy says, I don't want you to swing. Who cares?
Yeah.
If they're messing up, let them make mistakes. And he gets on base. Jeremy Giambi's got all these problems off the field. What does he do? Gets on base. Which makes me, you were like a little shy about the Jesus juke there, but what raises for me is the question of, if God was launching a scouting meeting on us, what is his gets on base?
Gets on base. Yeah,
he trusts Yahweh, right?
Yeah.
What does he do? I mean, like David, he's young and small. Do I care? And then goes to Pete, you do not. Or goes to Samuel, you do not. Right?
Yeah.
Abraham, he's an old man living in pagan Babylon. Do I care? He trusts Yahweh.
Yep.
Rahab, the Canaanite prostitute. She's living among all these wicked people. She trusts Yahweh. Do I care? You do not. Or Ruth. Ruth, the Moabitess. Do we want her on her team? Do we want her in the genealogy of Jesus? She gets on base.
Mm-hmm.
She trusts Yahweh. Your God will be my God. And it's like, again, it's redeem points. It's not what the movie is preaching, but boy, just going in as a Christian, you go, what is God's? He gets on base.
And that's what I'm saying is like, that's why it's so powerful of film, where you just, all right, let's stop and rest on this scene. Like honestly, people, like, my entire point is basically going to be this, like, two scenes involved in the exact same room. And it's it's maybe a little bit more than that, but it's like when they eventually start to lose, because their plan, there's still impediments and their plan's not able to work, and they have to trade some different players. Honestly, it's kind of one of those things. They did find out that Giambi's behavior was not conducive. So they did actually have to pivot and go. I mean, from a Christian context, you could go, well, yeah, maybe he's a great worship band leader, but we just found out he's
let's just not go
he's
there.
cursing, or it doesn't even have to be a major sin or something like that, but it's something
he doesn't love Jesus.
No, you've got it to the point where he's not living up to the reputation of this ball club or this church, and so they've got to go. And really, at the end of the day, is what they were looking at. I mean, I love the scene where he's talking about, listen, I'm 40. I think it was like 42, former ball player.
Yeah.
I'm with a high school diploma. You're 26 with a degree from Yale and a heck of an internship. Like, it's like if let's think about like what the actual risk is here and who's actually bearing it. But it's the thing is, like, if he lost, baseball was going to be done with him, and that's when he had to have that conversation with Pete of going like, do you believe in this thing or not? When he traded, when he traded Pena.
We got to trade Pena to make Art Howe actually. I was seeing that coming. I was like, he's the general manager. He's going to trade these. He's going to trade Pena, and you could see him being kind of forced into it. And like that was intense. And at that point, it's like, this is the type of choice that makes you get fired.
Yep.
It's the cost of following this new worldview.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's that thing. Do you believe in this thing or not?
Yeah.
And again, we can ask that question very easily among Christians, right? Like, do you believe in this or not? Like, is like, because how you're living your life is not, or, hey, we need to become more engaged because it's not living up to the standard, right? One of the other things that I absolutely loved is because he believed in it so much, there was no room for his ego. There's no room for his ego.
Yeah.
And they're listening to the report, and Pete hears it and said, they're praising the coach. They're praising Howe. I was like, man,
he's the reason they're winning.
Calm presence of Howe is And I said, did you hear that? And he said, all I heard was 7 in a row. Mm-hmm. And it's like 1 Corinthians 3 right there. I planted, Apollos watered, but God gave the growth. So neither he who plants nor he who waters is anything, but only God who gives the growth. He who plants and he who waters are one. Each receive his wages according to his labor. And again, and this actually is directly applicable because the whole point of this section was some people are going, well, I'm of Paul and I'm of Apollos. Like they were trying to get ego and pride of like who their guy was. And Paul's just going, no, guys, what's important is the game. The game is important, or the team's important, or winning's important. Really, yeah, that's the point of this. Like,
Yeah.
does he get on base? Yes, but he got a walk. Did he get on base? Yeah, but it was a walk. Did he get on base?
Yeah.
like that. That was the whole thing. It was like,
Yep.
oh, by the way, no more stealing. What? You pay me to steal? Yeah, it's like
No, I pay you to get on first.
No, I
not
pay
to
you
get-
to get on first, not to get on to not to get thrown,
Not get thrown out on second. Yeah,
second.
it's great. I mean, I've only seen this movie. I've seen it a couple of times. It's not the lines are just great, but the dying to self, the dying to ego, because he's received this. You know, as I said at the beginning, bucking conventional wisdom for the newfound faith, and being willing to pay the cost. I mean, Jesus himself. You know, the crowds came to Jesus, Luke 14.
Yep.
And he says, if anyone comes to me and does not hate his own father and mother and wife and children and brothers and sisters, yes, even his own life, he cannot be my disciple. So you see the dynamic between Billy and Art. Art loved his life. He didn't want to lose his coaching job, so he wasn't willing to, well, as the Bible says, repent. Repent means change your mind, change your life. And Billy was repenting. He was willing to let go of relationships, of acclaim in front of people, his own pride, his ego, and he was better for it. And it's like the cost of discipleship, that phrase.
Well, and he knew what was at stake, and said if we lose or we don't make it to the end of the season, stuff like. We'll be a laughing stock. We'll be written off. We'll be all that. We'll be out of baseball. The game will be done with us. But if we win, we change the game. And that's where it's like, yeah, they end up losing at the end. Spoiler alert for everyone who didn't follow history, but they end up having this incredible streak, 20-game winning streak. They make it to the playoffs. They make it as far as they've ever made it or had made it in decades by that point. And they lose. They lose to the Twins, and there's this stupid reporter or sports announcer person talking about it. And this just proves that their loss to that. It just proves that old school ball, you have to do bunts, you have to do steals, you have to do blah blah blah, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And a roommate of mine back in the day, she said she was like, this first time I ever saw the film, and she was like, "What? So like, don't even try to change." It was really kind of like that type of thing. She was like, that was her retort back to the reporter voiceover at the end. It was like, so what, you're saying don't even try to change? Like what type of defeatist mentality and attitude is that? And one of the things that Billy didn't see until talked with Pete about was he hit a home run and he didn't even realize it.
Oh man, that story is so good.
In 2 years, I think it is 2 years, the Boston Red Sox would win utilizing Bill James' analytics system.
And Billy was the first one through the wall. You know, the first guy through the wall always gets bloodied.
Yeah, he was the first one. He was the first one to show that no, there's actually some merit to this. And it's a shame. If he had a bigger budget, he probably would have won that year. Because he would have been able to afford even better players that were being overlooked. And that's something that the Boston Red Sox, the Boston Red Sox went from not winning any World Series in like close to 100 years to winning 4 in the last 20 or last 15. Yeah, the last 20.
Yeah, I think Bill James is the answer to the curse of the Bambino.
Exactly.
And it's like, it's cool. I mean, this story is another biblical passage that connects to this is when Jesus is telling the Pharisees, like, no one tears a piece from a new garment and puts it on an old garment. If he does, he will tear the new and the piece from the piece from the new will not match the old. It's like, you need to become new wineskins, right? You need to become new pieces of fabric. And if you're willing to do that or not, you become, as they say, dinosaurs. right? Born to be extinct. And so it's just as a parable, it's human being, whatever you're going through in life, you have a problem. Your clock is ticking. You need to figure out what is worth paying attention to, what will last, or another Mark 8, Jesus says, what does it profit a man if you gain the whole world but lose your soul?
Yep.
What is the problem? And he's saying you need to become new and accept the cost of discipleship. It's just amazing how pregnant this movie is with parallels to the Christian life, because it's this story of a group of people repenting, changing their minds to a new way of life, and embracing a new gospel. And it's like, okay, I see why you've loved this movie and you were so excited. I almost didn't sign on to the podcast. I was like, it's been a long week. I don't know. But here's the thing that's interesting about this movie. My wife mentioned, she says, most movies are about the little guy, the one who doesn't have the real talent, overcoming, right? It's the romantic movie. But this movie is about focusing on what is really successful. And so it's, in some ways, it feels like the weak of the world shaming the strong, but it's just because of biases, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that made me wrestle with, well, why does God choose us? It's like when he's picking these players, imagine the story of Moneyball from the players is, I have something of value, I have this desire to play, and finally somebody chose me.
Yeah.
We think of about when, go ahead.
Right on screen here is Hatterberg.
Yes,
he was a catcher. He was done. His arm was done, and they put him over at first base. Why was he put at first base? Because he can get on base. That's all they cared about. So it's like, well, we need him to play, so put him at first base.
So then Jesus is walking up.
We don't need him to throw.
Jesus is walking up to some fishermen, right? And I listened to a Q&A in an apologetics show. Somebody was like, the story of Peter sounds crazy. He's a fisherman, and then Jesus calls him, and he just changes his whole way of life. But no, like, you had a rabbi would go around and pick the best students, guys with a good face, confidence, the right schools. And Jesus goes up to some fishermen who were not doing a good job of fishing at the time and says, come and follow me, and I will make you fishers of men. And he goes, yeah, but I haven't fished for men. He's like, Pete, it's not that hard.
Yeah.
Holy Spirit, it's incredibly
really
hard.
Yes, it's literally bringing people back from the dead.
But
well, what about the fans? Well, one of them can play.
Yeah, maybe I could teach one of them. No, but really, it's the call of Hatterberg is somewhat similar to the call of all these disciples to call you or me, because it'd be like, well, there's a lot of reasons I can't throw, and you want me to go play baseball? And he goes, I will make you fishers of men. But then on the other hand, so there's this strange thing, because the movie is like taking the island of misfits toys, but also it's choosing them because they have the value. They are winners. You don't look like a winning team, but you are one. On the other hand, the way God chooses people, like Deuteronomy 7, God says, it was not because you were more in number than any of the other people that the Lord set his love on you and chose you, for you were the fewest of all peoples. But it is because the Lord loves you and is keeping the oath that he swore to his to your fathers, that the Lord has brought you out with his mighty hand and redeemed you from the house of slavery, from the hand of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. And so it's like, God chooses us for his glory and because he is strong, not because we are diamonds in the rough.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where I was wrestling with, okay, we can't push this analogy too far.
Yeah, well, the difference between a game, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but it's or another one my grandfather used to say, the reason why God calls the Jews in the Old Testament is to prove that he could love anybody. Why? Because I'm like them.
Yeah.
See a miracle come out of Egypt.
Yeah.
Going, where's my food?
Yeah.
But just, and so the concept of choosing, right? But I guess we can start shifting. One piece of the story I didn't expect to see was the personal journey of Billy. And I don't even know if I have it totally figured out, but it's Billy's search for justification to prove that he's not a loser and that he belongs on a baseball field. Billy was a star recruit. The scouts got it wrong. And now he's right to question their way of life, but he thinks he's cursed.
Yeah.
you know, despite his faith in statistics, he's still kind of believing this curse. And he doesn't touch the baseball field until the streak. He wants to see them break the streak, and they almost blow an 11-point lead.
Yes.
And you're thinking, okay, is baseball
He's like, oh, I can't have them to lose an 11-point lead. Yeah, I'll show up to the game. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he goes, okay, he wants to see it, and they almost blow it, and he's beginning to have this shroud that Billy the game is not for him. He doesn't belong on a baseball field. And he's plagued by this question and this goal that he must win a championship so that people will know and not dismiss his achievement.
Mm-hmm.
And he's asking himself, like, is he worth something? You know, he needs a verdict that says that Billy is a valuable person. Right. And so this reminds me of, oddly enough, Tim Keller used to talk about the movie Rocky in his sermons, where Rocky is asking himself, if I can go the distance with Apollo Creed, then I'm not a bum. And sports movies tap into these analogies, this question. And Billy is saying, if I can win, I could prove that I have what it takes, that I belong on the baseball field. But it made me think, I'm not sure where the movie's going here with Billy's heart, but I was like, if I could sit down with Billy, what would I preach to him in this moment? I'd be like, you might even change the game, but in the grand scheme of things, you might lose your soul to this quest.
Yeah, the desire the desire you have is a good desire, right?
Yeah.
To win, to achieve, to take the God-given talents and to change the game of baseball. I mean, that's a high and holy calling, right? It's like to change it. But if you divorce it from the creator who equipped you for this task, you will never have enough. It would never become satisfactory. You'll always feel like you had that one more in you. I mean, athletes, a lot of times athletes that have their career cut short. I mean, they talked about, some people have to give up the kids' game at 18. Some can last until they're 40, but all of us have to give it up at some point. I mean, the whole point of Rocky Balboa, the Rocky Balboa film, I think it's technically would be Rocky 5 is like, got one more. I've got one more in me. Yeah, I've got one more in me. And that's the whole point of that is I've got one more. Well, it's fine to always be like, hey, I've got one more, and you want to get in there. But do you actually have that final rest? Do you have the final resting place of going, like, if all of this goes to crap, there's a difference between going like, oh, I'm not going to watch the game because I don't want to jinx it, and a difference of I'm not going to watch the game because it's in the hand of the players, it's the hand of Providence, and it's the hand of all of that. Those are huge, two completely different situations.
Or if he had even said something of I played my part on the team.
Yeah,
I'm not needed here, right? There's all kinds of ways to take it, but the way the movie films it, especially that final scene where he's kind of baptized in the grass. Only Pete sees it, where he goes out and lays on the field, knowing that he belongs there because Pete gave that parable of the home run that was hit that he didn't even know.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. He's finally justified himself. He's finally had the verdict that he's acceptable. But as a Christian, I want to go, Billy, you might have failed all that, and still you would need that question answered. But I have good news for you. God's acceptance is not achieved. It's received through Jesus. Like if speaking to Rocky, even if you had failed, even if you had gotten knocked out in the first round, there's a way to receive the verdict. And then you can go out, like you were saying, and perform with excellence with a sense of security and gratitude under God.
Well, there's like Billy's trying to solve the what's the problem baseball question, right?
Yeah.
Christ is solving the what's the problem
human
eternal question. And you don't want to solve one and then miss the other.
Amen. Yeah. I mean, that's
and the higher calling doesn't have to be expensive, or the lower calling, I should say, doesn't have to be at the expense of the higher calling. You can actually do both.
You can do both with a different attitude. What I was hoping is,
I'll say even the three, and I'll just say bringing this to the present day time, and again, playing on Sunday, stuff like that is very much a conscience issue, one that I've wrestled with for years, and more falling on the Sabbatarian side of the house with stuff. But so setting that off to a side, but the 3 players playing for, I believe it's the Giants right now, that during the Pride thing put God's promises on their hat and have been being persecuted for it. It's like, no, that's a great and tremendous witness of,
Yeah.
no, this is what God says about sin. And I'm going to play excellently. I'm going to play at the top of my game. I'm not going to say like so many other people online that I see that have a social media following going, baseball hates Christians. And it's like, well, there's 3 Christians playing right there that love baseball and are doing their best to change it, where you're saying you're going to just cancel your membership because it's not preaching your message. And I was like, well, the world's never going to preach your message, and they're not going to care about preaching your message if the only thing that you're going to do is not be excellent in your own pursuits.
I mean, that's similar to our goal with movies.
Yeah.
Movies are not preaching the message I wish they did.
Absolutely not.
Well, maybe we can receive, reject, redeem the movies that we do love and turn this into a God-honoring way to spend some time. And just like, what are you doing? What's the problem? What does it mean to get on base for God? All these questions are...
Yeah.
It's so funny how spiritually inspiring this movie could be. It doesn't even mention it. And in fact, biblically, there's only one guy in the movie who's explicitly a Christian, and he tells Billy, "I'm Chad Bradford."
Yeah,
and he's overlooked. What's funny to me is that Billy Bean is his answer to prayers almost certainly.
Mm-hmm.
God, like Chad Bradford's story is, Lord used Billy Bean to give me a second chance, and this gift that I had in terms of throwing, but it was throwing weird, the Lord provided for me. And then he talks to Billy, and he's like, I'm praying for you and your family. And Billy's just completely uncomfortable with that.
Okay.
Okay. But
yeah.
And then you see later in the movie, he's leading devotionals in the clubhouse. I was thinking, Billy, go talk to Chad a little more.
Yeah.
Because I bet you Chad, he could handle being cut in a way that the other players couldn't, because he's not trying to justify himself and prove himself in the grand scheme of things, even if he's devoting his whole life to a game. But you do see in this movie, it's not clear that they're saying that this is the chip on Billy's shoulder, because Pete helps him realize, oh, I changed the game even if people didn't recognize it. And in fact, that was the story until 2011, when they made this movie was released and everybody got to give Billy the credit.
Yes. Yeah.
But until then, he was kind of like the Moses who didn't enter the promised land, even though he got them to it and brought them into covenant relationship. It's like, it's okay to be somebody who lays the foundation for the next generation.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've noticed this. If you've ever led somebody to the Lord, almost every time, it's obvious to me that I was just there at the finish line. Somebody else had been working on it.
You were there at the time. It was more of happenstance than anything you actually did. Yeah.
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 Yeah. That the system was already in place. Like, it's fun that when they were going through the streak, the announcers and the fans treat it as if it's some kind of magical process.
Yeah.
Right. That it's like instead of a curse, it's a blessing. This would have been a lightning round point, but I'm just peppering in here. The announcers, there's a certain type of randomness to it. The magic of the streak. When they don't realize that all along there was an intentional guided process that was at work. You're like, oh, well, how does that preach to people looking at the world and seeing randomness and some kind of magic, when really there's intentional guided process behind the world.
Yep. You see the rich and the poor, but the Lord is the maker of both.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The $141 million teams, the $39 million teams.
Yep. Excellent. So, got any last points before we wrap up here?
No, I think so. I'm sure that as soon as we hang up, there'll be 4 or 5 more that pop in. Well, actually, you know what? Okay. What do you think about his decision to stay in Oakland? Why do you think he did it? What does it reflect?
I'd have to think on it a little bit more exactly why. I know he says he didn't want to make the decision. Like he one time made a decision based purely on money, and it was the wrong decision. That was him to become a baseball player instead of go to Stanford. Again, it's kind of one of those, I think it's still playing a little bit into his self-doubt. Pete's conversation with him was basically saying, well, the reason why they're giving you this money is because they think you're worth it. They think you're worth it. Now, again, in all honesty, I had the opportunity. One of the opportunities that I was presented with would have been about a 30% larger pay than what I currently make.
Yeah.
And I didn't take it because of potential issues and stresses and a bunch of other stuff like that. So it's hard to get like in the mind of like why someone would or wouldn't do it. There could be self-doubt. There could be, now I want to see if I can do this in Oakland. Like sometimes there's loyalty, right? I mean, he was an Oakland player.
That's what I thought. I thought maybe it was, he's trying to prove himself.
Honestly, Ripken could have played for almost any team, and particularly in his prime, and he didn't. Right? And sometimes people just have certain loyalties and stuff, but I don't know if there's a real world answer of why he. I don't know if he ever spoke about why he turned it down. It was like a $14 million offer.
Yeah, he would have been the highest paid GM in the history of sports. And then interesting thing about the movie, I haven't quite figured out what they were communicating in his relationship with his daughter. Sometimes it was like, look at him, he's quantifying all the baseball players, but simply enjoying his daughter's art.
Yeah.
And like, did he stay because he wanted to be closer to his daughter? But then I brought that up to my wife, and my wife was like, but there was a scene where she's comfortable getting on a plane. She could fly to Boston, and he's got $12 million to fly her to Boston. A private jet. What's the problem?
Yeah.
So I don't know. But it was interesting. And then the final one, the final sound of the movie is his daughter singing
the song.
"You're just a loser, Dad. Enjoy the ride," or something like that.
Just enjoy the show. Yeah.
And I was like, what? I was like, okay, what is that about? And I was like, this seems like it's deeper than I can capture, but I bet you our guest host, Dr. Marchbanks, could figure it out. I bet you one of our listeners could figure it out. But I still haven't figured out exactly what they're communicating.
Yeah. Well, I think it's one of those. I mean, the whole the joke obviously is like she's teasing her dad. It's like, you're such a loser. Just enjoy the show.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what it is. Like, Dad, don't like. I love you whether you win or lose. Like your dad. I mean, she was one of the ones calling him, saying, "Go to the game. Like, you're not gonna jinx it. Go to the game." And it's trying to have that loving influence of just like, if you already think you're a loser, just enjoy it. Just enjoy, just enjoy the show, right?
Maybe
don't be too uptight about it.
And dear Christian, you're just a loser saved by grace. Enjoy the show.
Enjoy the show. Yeah.
Trust in him. That's what it means to get on base. In the book of Revelation, the one who conquers is the one who stays faithful to Jesus. Just get on base. Just trust in Jesus.
Excellent. All right. Well, with that, we can go ahead and wrap that up here. But so until next time, keep engaging movies and media from a godly worldview. And remember, you are not a mindless consumer.
Thanks for watching this episode of Popcorn Theology. For more content, subscribe on YouTube. Follow and interact on social media to help broaden the conversation. Check out our archive of past episodes at popcorntheology.com or wherever you listen to podcasts. And consider becoming a patron saint by supporting us on Patreon, which lets you interact, influence, and enjoy exclusive bonus content.